Ever wondered why those pesky bad thoughts pop into our heads? It's like they have a mind of their own. Our mind can be both our ally and foe. Sometimes, when we let it take the wheel, it leads us down the wrong path. But if we find that sweet spot of balance, life becomes a breeze. We try so hard to keep those dirty thoughts out. But funny enough, it seems like the more we resist them, the more they persist. It's that classic case of what you resist persists. So rather than running away from them, finding that balance is key. A young man once went up to Gautam Buddha and got straight to the point, saying, "Hey Buddha, why is my mind constantly flooded with dirty thoughts? I really don't want these impure thoughts, but it seems like lustful thoughts are always on repeat in my head. It sounds like you're really bothered by these thoughts, and they're consuming a lot of your energy and time. Sometimes, they even make it difficult for you to stay calm and focused. It seems like you're having strong attraction towards women that you find difficult to control." Buddha listened to the young man's concerns and smiled before asking him if he knew what this feeling of intense desire is called. Lust. The young man admitted that he didn't exactly know what it was, but agreed that whatever it is, it's definitely a negative force. According to Buddha, it's important to understand that our natural inclinations aren't necessarily bad. They serve a purpose in our lives in one way or another. Lust, for example, isn't inherently evil. It's simply a feeling in our minds that arises when we desire something we lack. For instance, if you need money and desire to obtain it, lust may emerge. This doesn't make lust inherently bad. Rather, it's a manifestation of our mind's needs. When these needs become physical in nature, we refer to it as sex. The young man approached Gautam Buddha and asked him about the origin and nature of lust. In response, Buddha explained that lust does not come from any external source, but rather resides within every individual. He emphasized that it is a natural part of human existence, playing a role in the expansion of the human race. The young man questioned why people consider lust to be wrong, when it is a natural part of us, and sometimes necessary. Buddha clarified the issue, stating that the problem lies in how people perceive and handle lust. It's not that lust itself is inherently wrong, but rather it becomes problematic when used improperly. People often become consumed by their desires, constantly fixating on what they want and living solely for their own pleasures, which is where they go astray. Gautam Buddha had an interesting conversation with a young man about animal behavior. Buddha pointed out that even animals engage in sexual activity. The young man agreed, mentioning that animals have the instinct to procreate and continue their species. Buddha then posed a thought-provoking question. If animals experience lust, why do we label it as wrong? Curious to hear his perspective, the young man asked for Buddha's insight on this matter. According to Gautam Buddha, animals only use their instinctual desires for procreation, not for seeking pleasure. Unlike animals, humans have the ability to derive happiness from various aspects of nature based on our understanding. Unfortunately, we have made sex and lust the center of our lives, instead of recognizing it as a means to continue our lineage. Gautam Buddha highlights that allowing lust to go unchecked is misguided and goes against natural order. Why do we always strive for dominance? Why does it become uncontrollable? Gautam Buddha had an interesting response to this. He said, "Pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. If you listen carefully, you will grasp the entire nature of desire. All your questions will be answered. Just make sure you truly understand by actively listening." Gautam Buddha turned to the young man and said, "All right, let's get started. Once upon a time, there was a wise monk and his disciple living in an ashram. Every day, the disciple would venture into the nearby village to collect alms. On his journey, he had to cross a river. One day, as he approached the river, he noticed a boy hiding behind a tree. Curiosity getting the better of him, he approached the boy and asked what he was up to. The boy replied with intrigue, "Can't you see what I'm seeing?" As the boy gazed at the river, he noticed a group of girls who appeared to be around 14 or 15 years old, busy filling water. With a hint of sarcasm, The disciple commented to the boy about the girl's activities and questioned why he was hiding. In response, the boy sarcastically retorted by calling him an idiot and wondered how those girls could possibly be drawing water like fairies. Take a good look at their expressions and the way she confidently lifts that pot, showing off her slim waist. And let's not forget about her flowing hair cascading down her waist, adding to the allure. The disciple couldn't help but keep staring at those girls by the river, even though he hadn't seen anything before. Suddenly, he started feeling guilty and scared, as if he had done something terribly wrong. As he hid and watched those girls, a sense of guilt crept over him. Deep down, he knew his actions were wrong, and it made him shake with unease. "This is not who I am," he thought to himself. Without wasting any time, he hurriedly left the scene. Seeking solace, he sought refuge in the ashram and immersed himself in his work. However, the image of what he had witnessed kept haunting him repeatedly. His mind couldn't help but be enticed by that very same scene playing on a loop in his thoughts. He was in no mood to work. Every morning, he would leave his hermitage early and head towards the river, where the boy was already waiting. They would both sneakily watch the girls passing by. He got into the habit of doing this every single day. His mind was completely detached from any form of work and constantly preoccupied with thoughts. As a result, he couldn't fulfill his responsibilities at the ashram efficiently. His sleep and eating patterns were disrupted, leaving him restless. Even during the wise monk's act of giving alms, his mind wandered off to those girls' beauty, distracting him from being fully present in the moment. The wise monk observed his disciples' actions, and one day, he decided to join them in begging for alms. However, the disciple rejected the idea, claiming that only he could beg properly. Undeterred, the wise monk agreed to let the disciple go alone. Curiously, he secretly followed the disciple to see where he went and who he interacted with. Curiosity got the best of him, so he quietly trailed behind. After a short while, the wise monk caught sight of his disciple acting all sneaky behind a tree with a young boy, spying on something. Intrigued, the wise monk joined in and discreetly observed what had captivated his disciple's attention: a group of girls fetching water from the river while hiding behind that very same tree. The wise monk, with a hint of sarcasm, asked the disciple if he would stoop so low as to beg from girls. This remark left the disciple frightened and sweating profusely. He trembled as though caught red-handed in the act of stealing. His anxiety worsened as he struggled to find his voice. To make matters worse, the boy who was accompanying him fled, intensifying his nervousness. The disciple could only manage to mutter a few incoherent words and avoided making eye contact with his teacher out of fear. The teacher gazed at his disciple and bluntly remarked, "My disciple is a brave one. He fears nothing. But what's this? Why are you sheltering in fear?" The disciple, admitting his fault to the wise monk, said, "I'm sorry. I can't deny it. That person betrayed me, but I guarantee you that from today onwards, I'll never let that happen again. Please forgive me. Gurudev." The wise monk responded nonchalantly with a simple piece of advice: "No problem at all. But always remember, we become like those we hang around with. When we associate with others, their thoughts seep into us. So choose your company wisely and surround yourself with good influences." After their outing, the monk and his disciple went back to the ashram, putting their attention back on their duties. However, something changed along the way. The disciple began to take a different path and carried out his tasks with care, albeit at a slower pace. Unfortunately, anger started brewing within him, causing him to lash out at his fellow disciples and become restless. Well, this guy had some serious issues with his eating habits. Not only did he have terrible timing for meals, but he also had a habit of barely eating anything. One night, a wise monk confronted him about breaking his promise to keep his mind in check. The poor disciple couldn't handle the guilt and started bawling, begging forgiveness from the monk. He admitted to breaking the promise multiple times. Well, here's the deal. The person in this story is having a hard time keeping promises, and they feel like it's beyond their control. They try to clear their mind of negative thoughts but struggle to do so. So the wise monk decides to take them to a garden and points out some drains that are constantly flowing with river water. The monk asks if they can stop the flow of water. The disciple confidently declared that they could halt the flow of water. They attempted to block it by placing soil on the edge of the drain, which temporarily stopped the water. However, soon enough, water began seeping through the sand from above. The wise monk pointed out that this method didn't work as expected. Undeterred, the disciple then tried using pebbles to obstruct the drain. It worked momentarily, but eventually failed as water started flowing out from above the pebbles again. The monk wisely observed, "Hey, what's going on? The water has returned." In response, the disciple admitted to the wise monk, "You're absolutely correct. I got lost along the way." The disciple had a peaceful night's sleep and woke up with enthusiasm the next morning. He went to the same spot where he saw the boy hiding behind a tree, still keeping an eye on those girls. The disciple approached the river where the girls were drawing water and asked for some. One of them kindly offered him water and even touched his feet as a sign of respect. In return, the disciple blessed her with well wishes, filling both their hearts with positive energy. A grin broke across his face as if he had found something long lost. He continued on his path, when suddenly, the boy who had been hiding behind a tree emerged. Approaching the disciple, he asked, "What's going on? Today you got to witness it up close. You even surpassed me." The disciple replied, "We're too caught up observing others. If you're interested in someone and they feel the same way about you, go ahead and get married. But before that, focus on developing yourself. Discover who you truly are instead of wasting time like this." The boy began meeting the disciple regularly, who advised him against going to the river. This encounter sparked a newfound inspiration within the boy, motivating him to strive for something greater in life. Gautam Buddha asked the young man about his understanding of the impact of a company and encouraged him to shift his perspective. The young man expressed gratitude for receiving answers to his questions. Gautam Buddha then advised the young man not to feel guilty when negative thoughts arise, as our minds have been conditioned over centuries. Don't worry, your mere thoughts or taking an oath won't magically break things. However, you do possess a unique power and energy that needs to be utilized in a balanced manner. You are a living being with the freedom to experience anything, which is why it's crucial to understand yourself. This story teaches us the significance of our thoughts. They play a big role in shaping our future. To move forward in the right direction, let's embrace positive thoughts wholeheartedly and channel them with full force in our minds. As our Zen journey nears its end, we'd love for you to be a part of our Zenful living community. The team at Zenful Living wants to sincerely thank you for your amazing support throughout this adventure. Get inspired because knowledge has the ability to enhance your life.